Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cocktail Hour, and I believe it's 129. Yes.
Oh, I have no idea.
I'm Andy.
I'm Sherry.
And?
I'm Colette Moody.
Woohoo! So, yeah, gang's all here, and we're having cocktails. Can you believe it? It's early. We're acting like alcoholics. We're having cocktails. But before we ask who's doing what, I have to tell you guys that I really wanted a Bloody Mary, right? I really wanted one, and it occurred to me that because my spicy V8 had an expiration date of November of 2017, I dumped it out and recycled, right? So I made the mistake of telling Sherry wanting a Bloody Mary. And so when we first signed on, she wasn't drinking. So I had to figure out what the hell to drink. And then we started this, just before we start this lovely live show, what did Sherry show up with? Show them, Sherry.
A big ass Bloody Mary.
She is so wrong.
It's big, and it's got Brussels sprouts in it. Hold on, I'm gonna turn it so you can see my sprouts. See that?
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of wanted some of that until you told me that there were Brussels sprouts in it. So.
Well, there weren't raisins. What are you complaining
about? Gross.
Spicy and pickled Brussels sprouts.
Look, I
delicious.
Want to like Brussels sprouts. I do. I have tried it multiple times, and every time everybody's like, "Oh, this is the one," right? And I even made them like slathered in bacon and some other stuff because I was like, "Yes," and no, it still tastes a little bit like a Christmas tree.
Christmas tree.
Yeah, it's got like an evergreen juniper kind of thing going on.
No, you're thinking of something else. This is a little cabbage. It's a little baby cabbage.
I am not thinking of something else. Trust me.
I have a friend that won't eat them because she thinks they taste like dirty socks smell.
TJ will not eat them, and I can't make them in the house if she's going to be here within many hours.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. All right. So we know what you're drinking, devil. I'm having my version of ginger, which only is like, it's 2 to 1. It's 2 shots of scotch and then shots of ginger liqueur. I don't remember how to say the name. Colette does.
Domaine de Canton.
See, she's awesome. Thank you. So what are you drinking, Colette?
This is a drink that my girlfriend created called Dr. Flim Flam's Ginger Medicinal. So it's got ginger bourbon and non-ginger bourbon and 4 other kinds of bourbon and
it's a little heavy on the bourbon.
It is heavy on the bourbon, and then like a little maraschino cherry, just for color.
Yeah.
And I can really only drink one before I want to fight everybody.
Damn.
No, I don't really want to fight everybody because I'm not an angry drunk.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good, yes. I don't like angry drunks. Good.
No, I'm just sort of a stupid drunk, really. I'm just like, oh my God, that's so funny. I'm like that.
Well, you guys have seen me enough times inebriated on this show to know how I act. And it's almost very similar to that.
Okay, well, that's good.
Mm-hmm. You're a silly drunk. Yep.
And it might be today because this is a lot of shit for me. I don't drink that much anymore. So if I lose words or stare blankly on this, you'll know what's happened. Just snap your fingers, I'll come down. Or not. Okay. So we are here to talk about our reading assignment, which we're very excited about. It's called Jane Steele. That's the name of the novel. And it's written by Lyndsay Faye. And I don't know which of us picked it, but I'm glad we did.
I think I did.
Colette did.
Brava.
Yeah, which is good because I have so many bad book picks to make up for. I mean, I was just thinking,
worse than Killing Cupid.
I was just telling Laura about that. I was like, well, last February we read this shit stain of a book. It was so bad. Like, yeah, because we picked it for Valentine's Day, right? really trying to have something with a tie to Valentine's Day, right? So I remember going on to Amazon and I was looking up any books that had Valentine in the title and any books that had heart in the title. And then I was like, oh, Killing Cupid. There you go. So it's got Cupid and they kill people. So this. And I think that was all of the research that we probably did. We were like, yes, the title, that's what we want. And then that's what you get when you pick a book based on the title.
I got to tell you, there's a couple of takeaways from that I want to share. The first is I distinctly remember being flummoxed about the voice of the story changing from the very beginning to the end, right? So there's this midway point where it's like, what the fuck? And I know it was written by two different people, but every time I've ever heard of people collaborating, they like collaborating from start to finish, right? So like one's taking one character, one takes the other. But in this damn book, it just felt like somebody wrote the first part and the other person wrote the second part. And it just, I don't know, it didn't work, at least for many reasons, but that's one of them. And the second takeaway of that book that I'll never forget is Colette's rant about the toilet seat. Oh my God. Sometimes I go back and listen to that show just to hear that fucking rant.
Wow.
If you guys haven't heard it, seriously, go back and listen to that show. It's priceless, seriously.
I think it's like 40, somewhere between like 35 and 45 minutes in. We had it written down someplace. It is the best. It is possibly the #1 moment of the history of Cocktail Hour.
Wow. I don't really remember that being that monumental, but I mean, I remember being angry about the toilet scene because that makes me want to find the author and just kick them repeatedly in the groin. But the whole concept of stalker turned lover makes me angry anyway, because it's like, what the fuck? Like, what kind of crazy crap are you trying to perpetuate that, oh, well, I'm a crazy stalker, but, oh, well, she'll learn to love me. And then she does. That just makes me, like, super, it takes me to a dark place.
That was definitely in the top 5 of all Cocktail Hour episodes, and we've been doing this for 7.5 years, so it's pretty good. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. That one and the Jennifer McMahon.
Oh yes,
we all three really enjoyed the book.
Yeah.
And then just rip the shit out of it.
We did rip the shit out of it. We really did.
Well, you know what? You should have some kind of an awards show, and you could call the awards the Cockies, and you could have like the top 10, whatevers.
Oh my God! Right, like the Razzies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be awesome. We have to think about that offline, y'all.
Right. We'll think about that. But today's book.
Today's book. What? No, I already said what today's book is, but I'll remind us since we went off on a tangent. It's Jane Steele by Lyndsay Faye. I could read the summary unless you got something you want to read over there, Rev.
I got nothing.
You got nothing? All right. I will click the magic button over here. No, not that magic button. Oh, come on. You know that was good.
I feel a little uncomfortable.
Oh, no. Okay. So here's what Amazon says. What is this? Okay. A sensitive orphan, Jane Steele suffers first at the hands of her spiteful aunt and predatory cousin, then at a grim school where she fights for her very life until escaping to London, leaving the corpses of her tormentors behind her. After years of hiding from the law while penning macabre last confessions of the recently hanged, Jane thrills at discovering an advertisement. Her aunt has died, and her childhood home has a new master, Mr. Charles Thornfield, who seeks a governess. Burning to know whether she is in fact the rightful heir, Jane takes the position incognito and learns that Highgate House is full of marvelously strange new residents. The fascinating but caustic Mr. Thornfield, an army doctor returned from the Sikh wars, and the gracious Sikh butler, Mr. Sardar Singh, whose history with Mr. Thornfield appears far deeper and darker than they pretend. As Jane catches ominous glimpses of the pair's violent history and falls in love with a gruffly tragic Mr. Thornfield, she faces a terrible dilemma. Can she possess him, body, soul, and secrets without revealing her own murderous past? A satirical romance about identity, guilt, goodness, and the nature of lies by a writer who Matthew Pearl calls superstar caliber and whose previous works Gillian Flynn declared spectacular. Jane Steele is a brilliant and deeply absorbing book inspired by Charlotte Bronte's classic, Jane Eyre.
That doesn't sound like what we read.
It really doesn't.
No.
That
I
is
feel
clearly
like,
something that was written by someone else.
yeah, I feel like that's a lot different than the blurb that was on Goodreads that said it was a gothic retelling of Jane Eyre and with the murderous check.
You know, that's what sold us on reading the book.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. We thought, wow, really? Jane Eyre reconceptualized with like a serial murderer? What?
Yep.
Which really wasn't what it was either.
No, it wasn't.
So here's what it was. It was this woman who, in the first part of the book, really seems to enjoy murdering people, and compares her life to different parts of Jane Eyre, which is one of her favorite books.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I don't know that she necessarily enjoys murdering people.
I don't know. I think that she said something pretty toward the end of the first part of the book where she actually said something about enjoying it and being good at it or something. There was a single line that it may have been like the last line in the first part of the book that led me to believe that she not only liked it and enjoyed it, but was going to be doing some more of it.
She definitely wasn't shy about doing what needed to be done.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so here was the thing. So do we need to divulge that there's going to be spoilers, or
there's going to be spoilers?
Okay.
Pause the show now, read the book, come back.
Right. Go. So the thing that gave me pause was that I was very much under the impression, from wherever we got the synopsis, that this was basically going to be Jane Eyre as a serial killer. And serial killer kept coming up, right, in the blurbs. Mm-hmm. And even though she kills at least 5 people, does she kill more than 5?
No, 5. The 4 first ones, and then the one in the house. Right.
So I don't know that I would call her a serial killer, right? Because a number of those are in self-defense.
They all had a purpose. There was always a purpose.
No, but they all had a purpose. But Colette's right. 2 of them were self-defense. 2 of the 3. Or 2
right.
Of the
So, yeah.
2 of the 5 were.
Well, I mean, and you could even.
The first one and the last one were
self-defense. I don't know that the first one could be considered self-defense. Didn't she? I mean, she might not have had to do that, right?
Well, I mean, he was trying to rape her. So
but did she have to kill him?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember.
I think it would be considered self-defense.
Okay. And
but
the last one.
I think that you could even make the argument that the second one was possibly self-defense as well.
Well,
even though he wasn't
self-defense, but
he wasn't physically harming her, but I mean, he was killing someone else, and he was giving her the option to either I'm going to kill your friend or I'm going to send you to an asylum. So I think that you could probably make the argument that that person was potentially self-defense as well, simply because she didn't really have any other option, right? But then those other 2 people, it was almost kind of a Dexter-esque, these are bad people, and I'm just going to take them out. So I really was kind of vacillating on whether or not she could be considered a serial killer. And I think ultimately I landed on the notion that I would not chalk her up as a serial. I mean, to me, a serial killer is somebody who kills because they enjoy it.
But they have a very definite method or desire that's being satisfied by that murder. And hers wasn't really like that.
Right, right. It was really, so here is a woman of a particular era. Women have no power. They have no say. And I mean, as the book starts, she is a minor. So she has even less say than an adult woman, and choices are made for her, and people force themselves on her, and people tell her how it's going to be and what she's going to do. So, I mean, really, it's just her fight for agency.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like she's like, oh, good God, I need to kill a person today.
No, but she doesn't. But if you think about, if you throw out the 2 self-defense murders, right? You think about the other 3.
Okay.
I don't disagree with her reasoning for taking these people out, but technically, she did not have to take them out.
Agreed. But, so what I think was working for her was the fact that, so after she killed the first one as a child, she has now sort of convinced herself that she is a horrible, dark-hearted, evil person.
Yes.
And that almost enables her and gives her the freedom to go on and kill these other people. And she's like, well, fuck it. I'm a crazy, evil, killing bitch. I might as well kill this guy too, who beats his wife. So I wouldn't chalk her up as a serial killer. I think that she convinced herself that she was an evil murderess, and that actually gave her the freedom to kill people who, I mean, and the way that this story is told, they were begging to be killed.
Yeah, begging.
I mean, at no moment as as the reader do I have a moment of, oh, well, don't kill that person. I mean, that person deserves blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, do it again. So.
And I got to tell you, I thought and I listened to this by Audible production, and I love the narrator. I thought she did a really good job. And we found out it's Susie Rydell. But she really did. She absolutely was perfect as a narrator for this.
I agree. She did a great job. I think because it was one thing that I had a hard time, and maybe it's the time and all of that, but so just to take a few steps back and kind of explain what happened. As a young child, Jane lived in this big manor, at this big manor, but she lived in a smaller cabin with her mother. Didn't know her father. Had heard of him, but he was long dead, I guess, or gone before he had died before she knew him. Inside the big house is at Highgate House is her aunt, who she doesn't really treat Jane badly, but she cannot stand Jane's mom. There is some very serious tension there, and we don't really know what that is until much later.
Until much later, yeah.
Yeah. So after, Jane's cousin attempts to rape her. Jane kills him.
I picture him as Augustus Gloop from Willy Wonka. I don't know if you guys did, but he's like big and slow and kind of ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Right?
Doesn't she kick him and he falls over a ridge? I don't remember. I'm sorry.
I don't remember either. I know he ends up being tossed somehow, but I thought that she had a more direct hand in it.
No, I thought she kicked him. I thought she kicked out and he went boop, like right over.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's too high.
It happens really quick. It happens pretty early on. So
yeah,
and I don't think that there's a lot of details that are given of the actual incident. So I think it's kind of left in many ways for you to just sort of fill in the blanks mentally.
Which isn't bad, though. It's not bad.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So she gets sent out. She gets sent off to. Does her mom die first and then she's sent off, or does she get sent off before her mom
No,
dies?
the mom dies.
No.
That gives the aunt the ability to get rid of her, like the argument to ship her off.
Right. So her mom has led her to believe that she is the actual owner of this big manor. And so she is sent off to this school, which turns out to be it's a lot like the school that Jane Eyre was in. Really strict asshole schoolmaster who's super abusive. And she gets
it's like a militant religious school.
He takes it to a new level.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because now he's like a sexual predator and doing weird, creepy things.
What's his name,
Munt? Yeah, I think so. Something with a V. Munt. Yeah.
But yeah, he's a complete awful human being.
Yeah, so he's in the book. He's trying to he's trying to get this young teacher to have sex with him, and he's just super pervy, super pervy, and he's, in addition to being pervy, he's very sadistic, and things happen, and he ends up dead.
Yep. Yep.
Right in the fucking neck.
That's right.
Right in the fucking jugular.
So Jane takes off with her best friend Rebecca Clark, and you know, to me it was really clear that they were in love with each other, and I kept going, oh, I didn't realize that this was going to be, you know, featuring lesbians. And
me too. When I saw my
yeah. But as we get further into it, you know, Jane is like, oh, I love her like a sister. And I'm just like, something is not connecting here, because you're cuddling, you're waking up together, you're desperate when she finally leaves and all of this stuff. And then that gets some resolution later on. But as far as I'm concerned, a thoroughly unsatisfying resolution.
Absolutely.
Well, I did really like the scene where they meet again in London, and Clark gets up and leaves. And she watches her walk across the street and drop her address into the... I was like, wow, that is a scene.
Right?
It is. Yeah.
That was great.
Clark didn't even turn around and look back. She just walked across the street, dropped the note with the address on it, and moved on in. That was like...
Well,
I think my heart clenched. I was like,
she had to, because there was nothing for her.
Yeah, nothing there. No,
you know, I mean, it's the age old issue of, you know, if you love someone and you know that they can't love you back that way, do you continue on and have a friendship with them, or do you just break ties and say, I will never be satisfied with this, so I would rather have nothing.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting way to put that, because that's exactly how Jane comes to leave Highgate House, because she ends up falling in love with Thornberry, or what's his name? Thornberry.
Thornbush. You've been watching Nickelodeon again.
Thornhill.
Yeah. Thorny. We're just going to call him Thorny.
See, you say Thorny, and that reminds me of Private Benjamin.
Oh, no.
Right? Wasn't that what they called? Like General Thornhill or whoever? Yeah.
Is it? But that's exactly how she felt about Charles. Is, you know, unlike Jane Eyre, you know, there was no way, or well, no, it wasn't. It was very much like that, you know.
Well, fine.
Because she was in love with this dude, and there was no way that she was just gonna hang out with him.
But she knew ultimately, though. I mean, maybe it's because we realize, you know, what inspired this story, that they would overcome obstacles at the end and be together.
Oh, I've never read Jane Eyre, so and I think the movie thing that you watched was better than the one I watched. But
Wait, stop. You didn't watch the Michael Fassbender version?
Let me tell you. Let me tell you why.
Did you watch the Liz Taylor version?
No, I watched the version that I could get for free on, it was either Prime or Stars. It was with George C. Scott and some chick.
He didn't play the romantic interest. He didn't play Thornfield, did he?
Yeah.
What was he, 25 at the time? Was this black and white? What are we talking?
What year did that come out?
Yeah. It was 70 something, I think.
The 70s. Okay. Yeah. So there was a version that came out in the 40s that I remember it had Liz Taylor as a little girl. She was one of the girls at the boarding school.
Okay.
And I couldn't really tell you much else about who was in it. That was just kind of one of the, I mean, because this was many years ago that I watched it. But let's just go ahead and say, spoiler alert, Jane Eyre is so fucked up. It's such a fucked up story, right? Because you think you know what's happening, right? You think you know what's going on, and you watch this woman and her struggles up through adulthood, and then she meets a man and they fall in love and everything seems awesome, and then it's like, oh, you mean your current wife is chained up in the attic?
I know, right? I was like,
how the fuck does that not come up over conversation at some point while you are courting, right? I mean,
is
what?
That not ridiculous? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Although, have you guys ever read or seen Wide Sargasso Sea?
Yes.
So what?
Long time ago.
So that Wide Sargasso Sea is the prequel to Jane Eyre. It is the story of the crazy first wife who gets chained up in the attic.
No shit.
No shit.
I had no idea. You know, the chick that played Marina in The L Word was in Wide Sargasso
Sea. Oh, I did
Can you
not
say that again slowly?
What?
Which Wide Sargasso Sea? Is that the part you want me to say slowly?
Kind of yeah. How do you spell that?
Okay, wide, W-I-D-E space.
Oh, wide. Okay.
Sargasso, S-A-R-G-A-S-S-O.
Okay.
C-A.
Okay.
Jinx. Yeah, so that
like my head was exploding. I can't understand these words.
Right. So that is a prequel. It obviously wasn't written by a Bronte, but it was a prequel that was basically the story of the man of the manor and how he meets his first wife, who ends up chained and insane in the attic.
How did you know to put these together?
Well, because at the end of the movie, it tells you.
What movie?
Come on, Andy. Come on.
The movie called Wide Space Sargasso Space Sea. But I believe that movie was based on a novel, but I didn't read it. So that's why I put it out there as either or. I saw it as a movie, probably. I guess it came out in the 90s, right?
The one with Marina?
Yeah, doesn't that sound right?
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that it was a prequel to Jane Eyre, and I just kind of rented it and was watching it, and then I got to the end and I was like, oh, snap! I know who these people are.
Yeah. All right, I'll have to go check it out. Yeah, it's been too long since I've seen it. Well, that's really cool. See, you always bring something to the table that's awesome.
Wait a minute. So, Colette, have you read Jane Eyre?
Yes, but it was such a long time ago.
Is it worth reading? Because I've got at least one audio version that I got from Audible through something, and I've always kind of wanted to read it. And the movie I thought was interesting,
right? Albeit rather fucked up. Yeah. I mean, as far as Brontes go, right? Charlotte Bronte is pretty good. I have not read anything by Anne Bronte. And of course, Emily Bronte's thing, I guess, really is Wuthering Heights, right? Did she really do much else before she died? It was.
I've not read any of the Brontes. I'm
okay.
classics illiterate.
I think that's the only one she's known by. Is Wuthering.
Yeah, because I don't think that she did much besides Wuthering Heights. I have. So initially, the three sisters published all of their works under a male pseudonym, which was pretty common in the era because women weren't considered
serious.
You know,
yeah.
Right. They had no intrinsic worth.
Right.
So they used their same initials, right? So they were Currer, Ellis, and Acton Bell, and that was Charlotte, Emily, and Anne Bronte. And they published a whole set of poetry under their pseudonyms, and then they ended up publishing novels under their pseudonyms. And I have not. Go ahead.
Didn't your brother publish poetry too?
The alcoholic brother?
That one, yeah.
He may have. I'm trying to remember what his name was.
Randall, Richard.
I mean, he was an artist. There is a famous oil painting that he did of his three sisters, and he had initially painted himself into it, and then he painted himself out of it, and he like turned his face into a post or something.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up back.
Okay.
I heard that he helped Jack Kerouac toss somebody's dad into the East River. Right?
Yeah, so says Wikipedia. His ghost killed a man and threw him into the Thames.
One of the Bronte sisters actually wrote about it before the incident. It was really quite fascinating.
Yes, because they were all psychic.
God,
and one of them had sex with Houdini's wife, and then they had a seance.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Patrick.
Patrick. Patrick.
Patrick, he was a good lad.
Patrick was a bit of a boozer. Always after me, Lucky Charms.
Oh my God.
I should not
back
have
to the
had
book.
all this bourbon.
Oh my God.
More bourbon.
So back to the book.
Oh, right, back to the book.
Yeah, we did
so the
kind of
first
take
part of the book,
take a deviation into.
But it was all related
into Jane Eyre. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first part of the book is Jane Steele as a girl and a very young woman. The second part of the book is after she. Okay, so she and Rebecca Clark, the young woman that the schoolmaster was threatening to kill,
starving basically.
Yeah, she was already very sick.
Very sick and weak because the headmaster was punishing her by not feeding her, basically.
Yeah, withholding food. So after the headmaster is killed and Jane and Clark flee, they go to London and they're doing really well. I mean,
yeah, they make it work.
Surprisingly well.
Yeah.
Really, under the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them has to prostitute themselves, so that was nice.
That was kind of nice, right? That was like the if you're not a wife, a homemaker, or a child, you're a prostitute. I mean, because that's just, life back then. So, yeah, they made it without having to, spread the legs.
Right, but Clark was still pretty young, right? I mean, she's like, what, 14 or 15 at that point?
Oh, I think is she younger than Jane by a year or two?
She's significantly younger.
Oh, okay.
Right? So at that point, Jane is like 17.
Yeah.
And Clark is like 14 or 15. So I was totally okay that their relationship didn't morph into something physical because it would have felt a little skeevy to me at that point. And I think that's part of the reason why Jane viewed her as a younger sister. And then we would learn that Clark did not view Jane as an older sister.
But you know what? That happens. I mean, that happens a lot in younger. I don't want to say prepubescent women, but girls form a quick attachment where it's like that. I mean, I think that's kind of a common experience that most women go through.
Most gay women?
No, just women in general.
Yeah, because I
agree with that, but I don't.
Is that the basis for the whole it's a phase argument that she'll grow out of?
No, but I think I've talked to other folks that have had that experience. Maybe it is prepubescent though. Maybe it's before the hormones start raging. But there's always like one person you attach to because you relate really, really well to them.
But do you want to have sex with them?
No.
But Jane wanted to have sex with. I mean, not Jane. Clark wanted to have sex with. I mean, she had romantic feelings.
They were on their own for a couple of years. I mean, it wasn't like right away.
Right.
And they never had sex.
No, they never had sex. No.
But they interacted physically.
Yes. There was some like kissing away tears and
sleeping
hugging
together
and
holding each other.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, maybe I'm biased. I'm not finding that unusual, but okay, let's move on.
I don't know. Maybe we should take some time and talk about your childhood. I don't know.
Is there any good therapists out there that want to talk to me about my childhood? Okay, so let's move along. Move along.
So Jane she starts working with a dude that writes his own broadsheets, his own little newspaper, and that was there were some really great parts in that section because
oh my god, right?
Dude didn't know English very well. He would just make up words.
He thought he was like pre-Merriam-Webster, this guy.
I know. And Jane's like, I can help you. You can let us live here and we'll pay you for food and stuff, but I can help you turn these words into actual English.
Right, exactly.
And he's like, my breeders love my words. And he's making words up as he's talking. And it was just really fun. So everything is beautiful and fine until the newspaper dude beats his wife up on numerous occasions, but finally beats her up so bad that she loses her kid.
I think that she lost the kid based on his menace, if you will. Yeah, but this is the only time that it's happened with Clark and Steele in the house.
Yeah, so Jane kind of takes care of that, and
she does.
But after that, Clark finds something in Jane's stuff that makes her realize that Jane killed the schoolmaster. And Clark leaves. She's very upset by it, and she leaves, and then there's this heartache. And then we move into the third part of the book where Jane goes to work as a governess at the same house at the manor house where she used to live. And there she falls in love with.
Go ahead. You skipped over a whole section where
I did. What did I skip?
Yeah, that point where she is hanging out with all the whores.
Oh, that didn't last very long, though. I felt like that was kind of...
Yeah, but she kills a guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of significant, right?
Okay, go ahead.
That was murder 4.
That was murder 4. That was the last murder. Yeah.
Yeah, and rightly so. Honestly, I was doing this. I'm listening to this story driving to work and coming home, right? And I get to the point where she's taken out the judge, right? And I sit in the truck and I'm driving home, and I swear I'm like, yeah! And I get people on either side of me like, because you're looking like, this girl's crazy. But yeah, because the judge, that guy was creepy. He wanted to.
Yeah. So basically, I believe if because this is not a large section of the book, I feel like it takes place several years after Clark leaves. She's still living in London. She has a home that prostitutes are using to service clients in. And so she has made some connections with some of these prostitutes. And then one of the prostitutes' regular customers, I believe, right? Tell me if I get this wrong, basically says, yeah, I want your 12-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to make that happen. And so once again, she doesn't kill because she wants to kill and she gets something out of it. But at this point, like, she's already killed 3 dudes and she's like, it's cool, I'll take care of it. I mean, it's just
And the
like
girl, the girl is only what, 10 or 12?
She's
Yeah.
young.
She's young.
Young. Yes.
Okay.
And he puts it to the prostitute as, you can either give her to me,
Mhm.
or I run you in for prostitution and present myself as a friend of the family who cares for this girl and will take her in. So one way or the other, I'm a haver.
Yeah.
The only thing you got to pick is how you want this to happen.
Yeah. That's
And Jane's
exactly
like,
right. Mhm.
no. Mm-mm.
Jane's like, no, there's a third alternative.
We're going to go with option 3.
right.
Yeah, so trust me when I tell you, when she takes that guy out, I was so happy. I was like, yeah, man, yeah. Acting like a crazy person in the car. And I gotta say, since I have a couple of seconds and, camera's on me, I love the prose in this book. I love it. And it's I think it was presented very, very well. It has that feel of something that Charlotte Bronte could have written if she would have done this story. I just love how it was presented, and I got a lot of respect for Lyndsay Faye, and I just might look her up to see if she has anything else to read. I really like what she did here.
Well,
She's got a lot of books out.
I did see that it looked like they had contracted this to make a film of.
What? Oh,
And
I'm
if you go out to IMDb, you will see this as a project that's in production. But I mean, therefore, like, no one has been secured as an actor or a director or any of that stuff. But I mean, it's out there, so it's under contract somewhere.
I would definitely go see it.
No,
yeah. And the other thing about it, talking about how it's written, there were several laugh out loud moments.
Yes.
I mean, there's some great humor in this, and it's Jane telling us this story, and she addresses the reader, with reader, you will not, you'll know this or whatever, reader, I don't have to tell you how hard that was for me or whatever, but I genuinely liked this character.
Yeah.
I liked it, even if she did things that I was like, I don't really get why you're doing that, or not really the best choice, or Clark's in love with you. I really liked her. She was pretty good. It didn't end up being the story that I thought that it was going to be.
Me either. Because I felt like once we got to the point where, once we basically get into like phase 4 of the book, where she's left London and she's gone back to her childhood home, and now she is acting as a governess for this man and his Sikh servants and daughter, it became like a completely different story, and it almost became just like a standard traditional historical romance.
I felt like it became more of a.
It did have elements. It did.
Mm-hmm. But there was also there was also the mystery. I think that's what kept me into it. But even with the romance aspects, even that was a little different, or at least more entertaining than say Outlander or something like that.
Yeah. She empowered herself.
That's true. I mean,
herself. And I think that's what kept it interesting.
There was that very unusual scene, right, where the fella shows up after she has recently arrived at the estate, and basically at some point everyone, including this girl that she's the governess for, who's what, like 11 or 12, everyone pulls a weapon on this man.
It's true.
That was unexpected, but that's just kind of how they roll there. And at that point, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, she's really come home because she fits in perfectly with these
Everybody's
people.
got a knife.
Everybody's got a knife at a minimum. They have a knife.
Yeah, there were so many great little snippets of scenes that keep you engaged throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, it never really had much of a chance, I don't think, to slow the pace. There was always something new being introduced, a little more of either figuring out what was going on with Mr. Thornfield or any of the Sings, or it was very interesting.
And you had some really, yes, you're right. It was very interesting, and you had these characters that were coming in. Are they good guys? Are they bad guys? But it didn't. I like the way the writer kind of kept flowing it, right? So you didn't have this distinct impression that everybody was necessarily really good, but they weren't really bad. That it was like a lot of shades of gray in this. Mm-hmm. And you had some characters that you thought were the villains in the beginning, like Mr. Quillfeather, right? Well, not a villain, but somebody that could snatch our heroine away because she would get convicted of murder. So, he was essentially kind of a bad guy in the beginning, but he, just the constabulary. But yet, toward the end, he really said that like there's justice and there's justice. You know what I mean? So he presented himself completely different by the end. So, I mean, they were all the characters were pretty much true to how really humans are. I mean, we're not all good, we're not all bad, and we have elements, and there are things that drive us to do things that aren't necessarily, what would be like normal behavior. And that's one of the things I really liked about this story is that you really, even with like, I forget what the housekeeper's name was. What the hell was her name?
I know who you're talking. Yeah, I don't know what her name is.
You understood why she did what she did, even though you did not like what she did. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was just, the author did such a good job. Just such a good job with these characters.
I agree.
Yep.
Hi, dog.
Are you talking to the dog? What? Come on, man. So, I think it sounds like all of us completely endorse folks reading this book.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
It was good. It was very good. And I'm going to keep trying other stories from this author. See if I like them. I don't know. Oh, and one other side note. I like the fact that she didn't get into this really mushy, weird erotica, right? She never did. Even when she was talking about, I mean, yes, she brought
Clark's
up
family
phrases that like Mr. Munt had written in letters, or how she felt about Mr. Thornfield. But it was all done with, I think, really like decorum. You know what I mean? So yes, she brings up certain words that you're like, but it was done really, really well.
Nobody got moist, is what you're saying.
Ah!
I'm sorry. I think we're losing Colette's connection. I'm sorry. and one of the Clark's parents were pornographers essentially, and they refer to these texts, but she doesn't get into them at all. There were no cheap sexual thrills in this book at all. It was all about the characters and the story and moving things forward. And Colette, you've redeemed yourself.
Yay!
You've redeemed yourself. So if we don't have anything else to say about this particular book, because go ahead.
What, did we have any cocktail hour business from last show?
I haven't picked a winner. So somebody will win a book from Susan Maher. I don't know who it is yet. So if you want to right now, if you wanted to win a book and you haven't gone over to leave a comment yet, I haven't picked the winner yet. So you can go over and leave a comment and we'll just pretend that you were there before the deadline. It's fine.
keep in mind, folks that are listening.
Oh yeah, you have to do it like right now if you're watching live.
Right, it's February 10th. Okay, so just so you know, okay.
Yeah. So speaking of giving things away, we did what seemed like the impossible.
We did.
Okay, we picked our next book before this show.
Can you believe it? Now,
Yeah,
folks,
it was like 5 minutes before this show.
But it's done.
Yeah, normally you guys don't know this behind the scenes. We will talk for hours about what we want to read next. Seriously.
Yeah. But we pushed the issue this time because thanks to 2 generous viewers, Carol and Adrian. Also, happy birthday, Adrian.
Happy birthday, Adrian.
Because of their generosity, we have a little bit of extra funds left over after paying for our URL and our hosting for the year. So we would like to give away an ebook copy of, or a paperback, I guess, if you prefer paperbacks, of our next book, which is The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. Fantastic book, so fun. I loved it, which probably means that either Colette and or Andy will hate it. But I'm willing to take that risk. Okay.
And then get pissed off and mad when we actually record and say, fuck, suck. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's not true. If you read it, I won't have a problem.
You got me there.
I do got you there. So if you're interested in picking up a copy of The Rook before we record our show, Andy, we did not decide on a date.
No, we didn't.
For recording the show. So why don't we say you need to comment by the 28th of February, okay? That way you're sure to have it in time.
Yeah, that's true.
2/28, because we record generally the first or second Saturday of the month.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got St. Patrick's Day on the 17th of March this year, which is a Saturday. So it sounds to me like we're probably going to be more toward the 10th. That would be my guess. Just throwing that out there, folks.
Okay. So leave a comment either here on the YouTube channel or on cocktailhour.us. Don't care what you comment. Just say hi, whatever.
Talk
it's
about
fine.
your favorite drink. Talk about whether or not you've read any of the Brontes.
There you go. Wish Adrian a happy birthday.
Adrian, happy birthday. Because she's awesome.
She is awesome. While you're there, you can feel free to leave so we can give away more books. Since we're not doing a lot of author shows anymore, we don't give away books because we don't make anything off of this stuff. We foot the bill for everything that has to do with this. So if you would like to contribute, you can go to pay/cocktail hour show and kick in a couple bucks, and keep absolutely nothing of it. We give everything back. So so leave a comment.
Dime, y'all. Not one dime.
Nope. So leave a comment by the 28th of this month, and we'll pick a winner, and then you'll be able to read this book called The Rook by Daniel O'Malley.
And seriously, go get a copy of Jane Steele. It is really worth a read. No kidding.
Now that we've told you everything.
Yeah, but still, it's still honestly, even if I were just watching a show and never read it, I would hope that we made it so interesting that you're like, what? I don't care if I know the end. Fuck it, I'm going to read it.
Well, although technically, I guess we did not give the ending.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. No, and there's some fun twists in there that happen.
Yep, people lose limbs and shit gets crazy.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. That is incredible. I loved it.
It gets real. Yeah, it gets real. But you're right. Oh, that's right. Limbs go. Yeah. Come on now. You want to watch it.
And really, we didn't give away anything about the big mystery that that incorporates the entire last half, last part of the book. We didn't give away a lot of stuff. There's some, we talked about the murders, but you could have figured out that you would have known that she's murderous just from looking at Goodreads. So,
oh yeah, man, that's true. That is very true.
She was less murderous than I thought she was going to be. I was actually kind of disappointed. I expected her to be kind of like this female Jack the Ripper,
Yeah, me too. That's why when it said she was a serial killer, I was like, wait, is she really is she what we would consider a serial killer, or is she just, a woman of
opportunity.
What?
Well, she like you said before, she was kind of like a Dexter of of that age. She took out people who deserved to be taken out, that weren't going to be held accountable.
I think Dexter is an actual serial killer because he is someone who enjoys it and is feeding some kind of need to kill people. But because
I felt like Jane enjoyed it up until that last dude that she did in front of, which was the seriously self-defense one.
But I think the reason she didn't enjoy it was because she had an audience.
I think that's part of it too, because when she really got in with the Thorn Man and his people, she seemed to develop this really strong sense of remorse, and that she didn't seem to have before. Maybe not remorse. Remorse might not be the right word, but she didn't seem. She seemed previously kind of proud of her accomplishments, and as she got closer and closer to the Thorn people, it was more of a, oh gosh, I'm a murderess. Well, yeah, that's why I liked you.
But I mean, yeah, at the beginning, she's talking like she's a murderer without any kind of conscience, and like she's some sort of a sociopath. And I mean, it's pretty apparent even from the very beginning when she's a child that is not correct.
Mm-hmm.
She just sort of convinces herself that that's the case. And I think that empowers her and steels her, no pun intended, for the subsequent murders where she's like, well, fuck it. I mean, I'm already a murderer and I have no conscience. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and kill you because you are a horrible person.
Yes.
I would read it again, honestly.
There was a hint of disappointment that she actually was not a sociopath.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true. Yes. Yeah. But it was a little bit of false advertising,
Mm-hmm.
But
a little bit.
Still super enjoyable book. Also, I wanted to say hi to McKenna because she's here. And,
hey, McKenna.
I didn't get over to say hi.
That's yeah. It's really like this story. I couldn't believe how much I liked it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It was very good.
Enough of that shit. I gotta stop drinking. That's it. That's enough. All right. Well, all right, now we're out. But thank you everybody for joining us. Don't forget to make a comment before the 28th so that you can get a copy or at least get in the running for a copy of the book, whether it's paperback or ebook, your choice. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for donating and being generous. Adrian, thank you very much. And happy birthday. Yes. What are you, 25? Just kidding. So join us. Join us again next month when we talk about The Rook by
Daniel O'Malley.
See us then. All right. So long, everybody.
Bye.